Reserve time.
All right, I was busy talking in chat. Blame me, blame Mr. Sizzo for asking questions that I failed to get around to earlier.
Team pick.
But we're back. I'm Niz. This is SCS. We're in the semifinals. We already saw one semifinal match earlier tonight, but this is the second one. And we've got Troll Master Adventurers playing on the Radiant side. We just saw them play last game. They're going to be going up against, well, May XXXXU. They're going by the name of Mix in the brackets, and that one seems like a much easier one to say, so I'm probably going to stick with that one. But we're already quite a bit into this draft. We've got Jug and Troll getting banned out by Mix. And we've got Bat and Lycan, once again, banned out by Troll Master Adventurers. So they really like banning out that Lycan in the first round. But part of that allows them to get the Axe. So maybe we're going to see an Alex Babies playing the Axe again. He's going to be paired up with a Lion. And we've got a Vengeful Spirit and a Skywrath Mage. So two strong supports that like to move around, like to put pressure on, but they also scale very, very well for Mix.
10 seconds remaining.
What are they going to look to ban out here? Well, we've already got the supports out of the way, so we don't have to worry about banning any strong supports.
Reserve.
This actually is really going to come down to team preference and who they want to ban out. Maybe they're going to choose to ban out a Clockwork. They saw the Axe going in a 1v1 up against the Clockwork last game, and they know the Axe can dominate that lane. But it's a little bit different. Is Mix, do they know that Mix is going to go aggro with their laning? Probably not. And yeah, see, they are going to ban out the Clockwork. The Clockwork also synergizes really well with the fact that Mix is on Dire side, so they're going to be able to get a lot out of that lane. It synergizes with the Skywrath Mage. It even synergizes somewhat with the Vengeful Spirit in basically creating a lot of control on your team. You've got the Clockwork that can strategically place cogs to support the carry, whichever that will be. Maybe it's a sniper, maybe it's something that's vulnerable like that you really want to support. So the cogs can do that, as well as the swap from the Vengeful Spirit. So great ban coming out there for Troll as they ban out the Clockwork. See, Mr. Sizzle, that's how you predict.
10 seconds remaining.
As they ban out a Dro as well. Storm Spirit was the ban for Mix. And they've got one more ban to go before we're going to see some more heroes coming out. Storm, really strong tempo controlling mid that well, we saw them use last game. They also used a sniper, so that's going to get banned out as well by Mix. And now Mix really, they can go any direction they want, really. They've got Avenge and a Skywrath. They're pretty much set. The only thing they're kind of lacking is long-range disable. I mean, they've got the long-range slow coming out from the sky, but that's not the biggest thing in the world. Just making a note here,
5 seconds remaining.
To help me with the VODs so I can upload them to YouTube a little bit faster.
Reserve time.
Well, they're taking a little bit of their reserve time here to really figure out what they want to do. No, I've talked about it in the past. I haven't talked about it too much recently. But your first 2, sometimes 3 picks are all about building a strong foundation with your team. Sure, you can, maybe go after a really strong meta pick like an Axe or something like that, and that kind of spearheads your team a little bit. But your first 2 or 3 picks are really about creating a strong foundation for your team. So you've got, okay, we've got this. We've seen what our opponents are going for. How do we want to alter our team to exploit a potential weakness of our opponents? Well, they're really taking their time to figure out. Maybe right now they're choosing whether or not they're going to go down that route. And I don't think they did. They picked a Tidehunter, so they're still very, very open. They've got, part of what I was explaining with the Clockwork, some big controlling hero, and Clockwork gives you that with the cog. Maybe even a better hero than that is the Tidehunter, because it's pretty easy to get a blink up on Tidehunter. And if he can get a good Ravage off, that creates a ton of space ton of opportunity, or a rather big opportunity for his team to do a lot
5 seconds
in a team fight,
remaining.
position themselves better, get a good start on the enemy team. And that's kind of the same thing that Axe does, in the sense that he blinks in, gets a taunt off. It's, I guess, a little bit more similar to a black hole, or actually it's probably a lot more similar to an RP, just with a really low cooldown.
Dire team
But he can
pick.
jump in and do that. But Tidehunter is just gigantic ravage, so it really helps everyone set up because it has such a big impact on the team fight. It covers a lot of space. Shadow Fiend will be the pick for Trollmaster Adventures. And I really like the Shadow Fiend with the axe. Shadow Fiend's one of those heroes that, despite him getting played and built in a
10
very, very
seconds
tanky fashion
remaining.
with going mech and going Yules,
5
a hero like
seconds
Axe
remaining.
really helps keep one of those squishy heroes alive. So you see Axe getting
Reserve
picked up with
time.
Sniper, or you used to see Axe getting picked up with Sniper quite a bit. You're rarely going to see both those heroes make it through the bans, let alone on the same team. But Axe, because he can blink and taunt and set his team up and help protect those carries, that means they can just do what they do best, and that's right click. And Shadow Fiend is
Radiant
no
team
exception to
pick.
that. Viper is the response from Mix. So they looks like they feel comfortable putting their Viper up against the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane. And I think now this is weird. I think people's idea of that lane is that Viper does really well in that lane. He can bully Shadow
10
Fiend.
seconds
He's got
remaining.
good attack animation. He's got good damage. He can contest with Shadow Fiend for quite a bit in that lane.
Dire team ban.
However, back on my last team, we had a really strong mid Shadow Fiend player. It was Goofy, and we had no problem picking a Shadow Fiend into a Viper. We felt very confident with that matchup, despite the fact that teams
10
really
seconds remaining.
considered Viper to be a good hero to go up against the Shadow Fiend.
5 seconds
And
remaining.
we're going to see that same matchup here once again. Even if the Shadow Fiend's struggling, he is a Radiant
Reserve
Shadow
time.
Fiend, so we can fall back to those camps in the jungle and start farming those up if he needs to. Earthshaker's going to be the last or the second support that Trollmaster is going to pick up. That gives them another long range disable. Also gives them a little bit more
Radiant
control.
team
I've
ban.
been talking a lot about control in this draft, but it does do that. It helps them really control a zone in the fight. Fissure, the stun is nice, but the fact that the fissure stays there on the ground and prevents movement, people crossing over it. Maybe it locks someone in,
10 seconds
keeps them
remaining.
engaged into the fight so they can't run away from a Shadow Fiend. It does a lot
5
of controlling,
seconds
but a different
remaining.
kind of controlling than the kind of control that's going to be coming out from a Tide Ravage or
Reserve time.
Avenge Stun, that kind of thing. Medusa, the last ban for Mix. And I don't know if they would have been going Dusa. I typically like to draft a little bit more aggressive lineups. So that the Dusa would have been much more defensive. I think it would have potentially been a little bit too greedy. You're really going to be banking on the fact that you feel like your Shadow Fiend can get off to a good start, and your Axe. You had to feel very, very
Dire team
confident in your
pick.
Axe to be able to pick a Dusa in that situation. PA will be the final ban, and now we just await Mix on their final pick. They've already got their offlaner and their Tidehunter. They've got their mid hero in the Viper, and they've got their two supports with the Venge and the Skywrath. So, who are they going to choose to go with their carry?
10 seconds remaining.
I have a feeling they're going to
5
go with something
seconds
that's going to go
remaining.
pretty late.
Reserve time.
Actually, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll go with something like a Void. Slark.
Radiant team pick.
I don't like Slark. I do not like Slark against an Axe. And we saw last game how Axe can really put a lot of pressure on Slark and cause a lot of trouble for him. As unfortunately Fury on that Slark last game didn't have a good time, as Alex Babies was chopping heads on the Axe. I think the Void would have been an interesting pick.
10 seconds remaining.
I think they would have been maybe a little light on damage.
5 seconds remaining.
I don't know. I don't know.
Reserve
But they are going to
time.
go with the Slark. So now we wait for Troll Master Adventures for their final pick. They've already got their 2 supports. They've got their Axe, which I'm guessing is going to be their offlaner. They got the Shadow Fiend mid. If they feel comfortable putting that Shadow Fiend mid, they may not feel comfortable with that matchup against the Viper. They may put it safe
10
lane. They may
seconds
choose
remaining.
another hero to go mid against the Viper. We'll have to wait and see.
5 seconds remaining.
But it's going to happen now. And there we go. Necrophos is going to be the pick. I imagine that is a Shadow Fiend mid in the Necrophos safe lane. Interesting. Well, with a Necro, Lion, and Earthshaker in the bottom lane going up against the Tidehunter, the Necro can actually manage that lane quite well by himself. So that's going to really free up the supports to make any kind of rotations that they need. They might actually choose to put a lot of pressure on Viper in the mid lane to give Shadow Fiend a good start. Interesting. I'll introduce the players and actually we got to pause here. I'm actually going to mute for a second. I'm going to take a sip. I can already feel my voice having the effects of casting quite a bit so far, and we still have another game after this, so I'm going to mute. I'll be back in 1 second. Well, unfortunately, we are still stuck in the pause screen here. Hopefully this doesn't last too long and we're right back in it. So we got a G and we got to resume. And here we go. Let's introduce the teams. Let's introduce the players. FYI, we're from Toronto and NYC. That's great. I'm not from Toronto. I'm from Mississauga, which is pretty much right next to Toronto. So shout out to all the GTA players, even though Mississauga's technically not in the GTA, but whatever. On the Radiant side, we have Troll Master Adventurers. We've got Arcana playing the Shadow Fiend without the Arcana. We've got Zine on the Axe, and looks like they've switched up roles here. We've got Alex Babies on the Necrophos. We've got Boater or Botters, I think it's Boater, on the Earthshaker. And we've got Galanti on the Lion. The Dire side, we've got Team Mix playing the Vengeful Spirit. It's going to be Fanboy.
30 seconds.
We have a guy with Chinese letters, and that's going to be playing a Viper. We've got Freezing playing the Slark, and Fanboy's in a good spot here. Unfortunately, he is going to fly in design, so not going to be able to get anything done there. We've got PS Laji Zai. I might just call him Zai. I don't know. We'll have to figure that one up as we go along. And we've got another person with Chinese characters as the Tidehunter. Radiant looking like they're after the bottom rune. They get that, and top rune was acquired by the Dire side. So, starting items, we've got Lion with boots first, no surprise. We've got Venge with boots first. Maybe that's a little bit more surprising, but not that out there. And we've got Tidehunter with boots first. Not really surprising either. We've got Zai on the Skywrath with Smoke. He's the only one in the game with Smoke. And we also don't have any Sentry Wards or anything like that. In terms of lanes, we've got Axe in the top lane going up against a tri-lane from the Dire side. We've got Skywrath, Slark, and Vengeful Spirit. Mid lane, it is a Shadow Fiend up against Viper, so that lane that we expected. Bottom lane, it's the Tidehunter going up against the Necro and the Lion. And look at Earthshaker doing some stacking and pulling for the Shadow Fiend. Maybe it actually could just be for the Axe, and Axe is going to abandon the top lane, because that's a little bit of a difficult lane for the Axe, going up against the Avenge, the Slark, and the Skywrath. The one downside to this is, with Axe abandoning that lane, that means these supports don't have to stay up here. Yeah, they can do a lot of stacking and pulling and doing all that stuff, but it also frees them up to make rotations. They even already have this smoke on the Skywrath, so those rotations are really what hurts the Shadow Fiend. That's when he's really, really vulnerable. So that's the one downside to having Axe abandon that lane, and they're going to know that he's completely abandoned because they've got this Observer Ward, which means if he tries to be a little bit greedy, trying to hide out there in the lane, trying to get a little bit of XP, they're going to know. And when they don't see him doing that, well, then they know they can just make those rotations because he's sitting in the jungle. And I'm pretty sure by now they've assumed that he's just completely abandoned, so they know he's not going to be appearing up top. Nice Observer Ward getting placed there by, I believe it was the Tidehunter. Yeah, he did place that. As that'll not only block the pull-through camp, but also spot the rune. And we're going to have our first blood here. Shadow Fiend's going to go down. He does get 2 raises off. Gets Fanboy kind of low. But Viper will be the one who gets the first blood. And Mix finds himself ahead. Just slightly, but ahead nonetheless. And that's going to be the boots for Viper, and that's quite significant. Viper's boots timing is actually very, very... a huge power spike for him in the lane. That allows him to really step up and use poison attack to harass quite a bit. Smoke of Deceit dropped here. Okay, so there's a smoke back there. Interesting. I'm not sure if Shadow Fiend just bought that and dropped that or what. Maybe he bought that as he was going to die, which is, I find a little weird, because why wouldn't he just buy a TP? I don't know. I don't know what that is all about. Tide making a rotation down to the bottom rune, getting haste rune, and that'll just allow him to play really, really greedy in this bottom lane. He's already been doing a decent job so far. 3 minutes into the game, he's already level 3, so that's not bad. He's certainly not getting as much as XP as Axe, but Axe is jungling, so that's to be expected. He is ahead of the supports. His Lion's about to hit 3, and Earthshaker's a little bit further behind, who's relegated himself to being on mid duty, throwing out those fissures and starting to harass that Viper. And I talked about this a little bit, about the Earthshaker, putting that pressure on the Viper and helping the Shadow Fiend get off to a good start. The other downside about Axe making that rotation out of the top lane is he starts taking these camps from the Shadow Fiend, and it looks like they're just reserving this camp to the Shadow Fiend, which I think is okay. He only really needs one, and as long as they're giving one, that's okay. Typically he'd like this one because it's a little bit closer to his lane, but it makes more sense for Axe to be taking that one because it gives him a more fluid rotation through the jungle. Botter is getting harassed here as he ran into Fanboy at the top rune. Tries to deny to the Ancients, but Viper will get the kill before that is the case. Okay, Sky, not sure what he's up to, but he's going to try to run up here on the high ground. Ping came out from Axer. I think he's just saying that there's maybe an Observer Ward there, but there isn't. Maybe they thought that because twice they've made a move for the top rune, and both times when they basically got to this spot, they got engaged upon. And Custos flying in from Zai onto the Shadow Fiend, just keeping him honest, keeping him back in that lane. Let's actually start comparing the lanes. We've got our top farmer in the game is this Necro at 31 and 10. He's a safe laner going up against this Slark who's at 28 and 17, so he's not very far behind. But, you know, maybe a few CS behind. No big deal in the end. Mid lane, we got 26 and 6 is this Viper, and Shadow Fiend 22 and 3, so pretty even as well. Viper maybe a little bit ahead because Shadow Fiend's died once, and Viper not only got first blood, but has also got a second kill as well. We've got our offlaners. Well, Axe, of course, is going to be leading the way with 20 CS versus this Tidehunter's 5. He's going to get engaged on here. He's just about to hit 5, but he's going to die before that's the case. Or maybe not. No. Yeah, he's going to die before he hits level 5. But Galanti got pretty committed to that, and nice rotation from Zai to make sure that they get the kill onto the back of that line. So it is a 1-for-1 trade. Of course, the Radiant would prefers the fact that they got an offlaner just at the cost of one of their supports. I was talking about Tide's levels, about to hit level 5. Let's take a look at Axe. Of course, he's not that far ahead in XP. He's only just recently hit 5. So Tide doing a pretty good job in that offlane, keeping up with the Axe. What do we got for items coming our way? It looks like Shadow Fiend's building into the Yules. Axe has his Tranquils. Okay, we got an initiation here on the Viper. Nice fissure. I think he's blocked this way as well, so we'd have to go around that way. And that was a good organized kill there from the Radiant side. Nice fissure getting placed, making sure they didn't place it on the wrong side. And with Axe and Shadow Fiend in your face, there's pretty much no way you're going to get out of that one. So they get on their board with their second kill. I just heard a TP. I don't know what that was. We got mech finished by the Necro, so it'll be interesting to see what Shadow Fiend's going to build, whether he just goes Yules into what. Because typically you see Shadow Fiends get the mech and the Yules. Oh, Galanti gets turned around on, but maybe they're just going to turn right back around. As Shadow Fiend's now charging after the Viper. Oh, gets him so low so many times, but bottle chugging keeps the Viper alive just by about 20 HP. I think he dropped down to that figure a couple times there, but bottle chugging, like I said, just kept him alive.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
This Necro's been pretty uncontested in this bottom lane and just able to farm away, but of course the Slark has been doing the same.
Tower is under attack.
Slark electing to go for the Hand of Midas, whereas Necro went for that mech, so expect him to have an earlier impact on the game coming out of that laning phase.
Tower is under attack.
Earthshaker's struggling quite a bit with his items, electing to buy the boots of speed as soon as he ticked up to enough gold, rather than waiting a little bit for his reliable gold to pull up. But honestly, as an Earthshaker, it's probably better to get your boots on as soon as you can. It's 8.5 minutes into the game, and Earthshaker really could use those boots.
Is under attack.
We have Skywrath Mage moving around, potentially making a rotation to bottom, but thinking better of it and coming back towards mid. This Observer War is actually very, very important for the Radiant side. We can see just how much information it gives them of that Skywrath's rotation. Still not that much action. We've got 6 on Tidehunter. It looks like he's got Arcane Boots and a Ring of Protection. So maybe just picked up the Ring of Protection to help him stay in the lane a little bit longer. And he knows that later on he's going to build that straight into a Force Staff. I imagine he hasn't abandoned going for Blink and decided to go right for Force Staff, but that could be the case. The Shadow Fiend is invis, and he's going to reveal that in just a second. There's a sentry down. Concussive's going to fly out, and he's in trouble. Viper Strike. He's going to try to TP. Will we use a Ravage? No. He does get the TP off, and with bottle chugging and sitting in the fountain, he does just barely survive. Zain up here farming the top lane. Freezing's going to come in and try to open up on him. Zain misses the chop, but gets a spin as soon as Slark pops his ultimate. That's definitely not how Slark saw that coming. As gets ganked by the Slark, but in turn gets the kill, Zain, with the blink. He just purchased that from the side shop. We'll try to run away from the Viper. Viper doesn't have Viper Strike available to him anymore, but it's not going to matter. Zain's going to go down. While that was happening in the bottom lane, Necro got a kill onto the Vengeful Spirit. So Alex Babies, like I said, they've been leaving him alone, but 2 times they've come down there and he's walked away with a kill both times. Now he's already got the tier 1 down, and he's going to start pressing the tier 2. Actually, they've been doing quite a bit of tower damage there, as Shadow Fiend just had an opening to smack the tower a little bit there. Of course, the top tier 1 has not been touched. As the only heroes that's been up there is Axe, and he's only been up there for maybe a minute combined. If you look at all his time spent up there. Arcana just still farming. Lion's sucking off the creeps, making sure he gets a good amount of mana, and that just gives him enough mana to be able to use Finger of Death with the Earth Spike.
Radiant's top tower is under
Hex,
attack.
he should have all the mana to do that. So we do the math. Help! No, I can't do all that. I can't think! Can't think and do math right now, help! It's been a while since I played Lion to know the exact cost of everything. What are we gonna do down here? We got 2 supports. What are they doing? They're standing right under a Radiant Observer Ward. Of course, they don't know that. Actually, they do. They dropped the sentry there. I'm distracted. Earthshaker gets a kill in the mid lane. His fissures have been on point. Zine now is the focus target after a huge ravage, but it is going to be the Tide that's going to go down. Freezing has to pop his ultimate, the Shadow Dance, and run away. Fanboy and Zai are just kind of hide behind the tower as Mix, unfortunately, not having another good fight. They come in, they use the ravage, but end up losing 2 heroes. Not getting a single kill, and I think they're going to lose their tier 1 tower. Of course, this is probably one of your most important towers out of all the outer base towers, as this frees up a lot of rotation potential from the enemy team. Oh, nice cancel on the TP there, as Axe was on top of that, blinking forward, making sure that if they did complete that TP, he'd get the taunt. And Troll Master Adventure is starting to take control of this game. They're starting to control the map. They're starting to push out a little bit. Haven't seen these the supports from the Dire been able to accomplish too much. You know, they got that 1 pick off on Shadow Fiend early on, and that was good. But since then, it feels like they haven't really been able to do much.
I am grateful.
Part of that was because the Tide left bottom, and then they couldn't make any rotations onto the Necro. In the mid lane, the Earthshaker was sitting there with the Shadow Fiend, so the Shadow Fiend was no longer vulnerable, and there was no hero top. So it was very difficult for them to have a huge impact on the game. And that happens, you typically like to see them get a lot of stacks done. You know, maybe their Tide just sits in lane a little bit longer in the bottom, and you come down and you stack his ancients for him, or maybe you're both stacking the jungle, and Tide is stacking his own ancients. But they are going to get a free Roche here, and that's part of the benefit of being Dire, but there's no observer wards anywhere for either team here, so it is a blind Roche. And they are going to get the Roche, and the Aegis will go on to the Viper, and it looks like it has been a little bit of a trade, as Radiant's going to acquire the tier 1 tower in the top.
Dire's top tower.
And if we actually take a look at the minimap, you can see the observer ward placement coming out from the Radiant side. We've got this one, and then we've got another one that's even further deeper into the jungle. And if you take a look at the minimap, it's helping them control all this area. They want to start taking over the Dire jungle, removing that ability to farm that area from the other team. Now they're going to come up here, they're going to press the tier 2, and they say, you know what, if you guys aren't going to respond, we are going to take this tier 2. You have to get up here, or you're going to lose another tower. And it looks like they didn't expect that to happen, as now they're rotating up. One TP comes out, maybe the Viper could have waited a little bit longer on his TP, helped the Tide get in better positioning, but then they just re-engage because of that vision from the Observer Ward. The Tide goes down before he's able to get the Ravage off. Zai goes down as well on the Skywrath, and Fanboy goes down on the Vengeful Spirit. And now with that respawn coming up from the Viper, it looks like they're going to get our 4th kill here, as Viper gets taunted immediately by Zine. The head chop doesn't really align with his HP. Necro will get the kill in the end. I'm not even sure who died to the the Reaper's Scythe. Was it the Tide right off the start? It may have been.
Dire's top tower is
Which
under
would explain
attack.
why he wasn't able to get the Ravage
Radiant's
off. But
middle
I think he was in the
tower is under
taunt
attack.
anyways. I don't know. Someone died to Reaper's Scythe, so they're going to have a longer respawn. I unfortunately missed that. But we're going to have the tier 2 tower going down anyways. And that was a really nice
Dire's
setup from
top
them.
tower has fallen.
You know, that was all this Observer Ward placement. They had that Observer Ward. It spotted this movement.
Dire's middle tower is under
Once the
attack.
heroes get out of here, you'll see exactly how much vision they had. Well, it's daytime now, so they got a little bit more. But it spotted this kind of movement coming out from the Dire side. They were on the tower. As soon as the Viper TP'd in here, they backed this way.
Regeneration.
They spotted this movement, and then they immediately came down and chopped onto the Tide there. And that was all set up by this Observer Ward. They gave them entire vision of that rotation. Really good planning ahead of time to make sure that they had the Observer Ward taking over control of this jungle, freeing themselves up to take that Dire tier 2. And look at that. Immediately it gets countered by the Dire side afterwards. They recognize the fact that that rotation was made possible by an Observer Ward. They even checked up here first, but then they checked the second potential ward position that would have spotted them making that rotation. I really like that we saw it. That was perfect. Right after I pointed out that Observer Ward, we saw it get used to basically to perfection to give TMA a huge advantage going into a team fight. Wow, we've got a Tide Hunter going for a mech, so he's not going to go for a blink. Maybe it's because in the draft I said, you know, it's pretty easy to get a blink up on the Tide Hunter. It's pretty reliable, but no, not going for a blink this time. They're going for a mech. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I wonder why they chose that.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Let's take a look at the gold graph and see just how far ahead there are. Ahead almost 10,000 gold, 18 minutes into the game. Switch on over to the XP graph is about 4K, 4.5K maybe. And we'll quickly cycle through the items here. We got Shadow Fiend with Yule's BKB. We've got the Axe with Blade Mail and a Blink Dagger. We've got the Necro with his mech and eggs. We've got the Earthshaker with just a set of wards and arcane boots. It kind of sucks when you're playing position 5 Earthshaker and you're not really able to get your blink up, but they're all right with it in the end. They have the axe to blink in, and now they even just have the Lion who just picked up his blink dagger as well. So we've got two different ways of blinking in. And frankly, Earthshaker's been doing a hell of a job without having a blink dagger. He's been on top of his fissure placements, and even I haven't seen a big echo yet. I don't even think he's thrown down an echo, but I imagine those are just going to be monstrous as well. And a lot of that is just, the fissure placements. You have to not only click the right spot, but you have to be in the right spot to throw at those big fissures, and he's definitely been on top of that. Move on over to the Dire side, and we've got Tranquils and Medallion on the Venge, so good start there in terms of items. The Venge is doing perfectly fine. The Viper, he's lagging behind a little bit in items, as he's going to get taunted now. We got a pause called out from the Earthshaker. That was the dirtiest thing I've ever seen. Hopefully, that was scummy. That was really, really scummy. Hopefully that's not why they called it. Well, I'll check ping. Please? 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 It's not even going to let me know. Okay, apparently there is quite a bit of lag. There we go. Yeah, I'm at 306 MS and 46% packet loss, so I'm getting in a ton too. So that wasn't a scummy play. But yeah, that was kind of unfortunate as they got the kill onto the Viper there. Ouch. Alright, cleared up for me, so maybe we should be set to go soon. Yeah, unfortunately the Viper not even able to purchase there. He was at, well, he would have lost all his gold anyways, because he would have gone down to 66 reliable gold. So it didn't really matter that much in the end that he didn't purchase.
To the nether realm.
As he lost, in the end, a couple gold. But, yeah, he's about 1,000 away from finishing his Ag Scepter. So he's still got a little ways to go, and there's nothing on the courier here. Slark, he's got a Shadow Blade, he's got his Midas, and he's got a Mithril Hammer, so I'm guessing a BKB on top of that. Skywrath, just have wards. And the Tidehunter has finished his mech, but like to really see him get something that's going to allow him to have more mobility. Allow him to jump in and get those big ravages off. Because right now they've thrown out one ravage, I think. The one in the mid lane, was that it? I think so. Threw out the one ravage, that one didn't work out for them. Instead, he lost his life. On top, he wasn't able to get the ravage off, and that's the only big fights that we've seen thus far. It kind of makes sense to not go some like mobility enhancing item like a Blink or a Force Staff on the Tidehunter if you don't need it, because you've got that source of initiation from some other means on your team. But they don't, unless they're going to have Slark just run in, or unless they're relying on Avenge Swap. They don't have that, so I'm not really sure how they expect Tide to get big ravages. He's got to be really sneaky with his positioning in trees and stuff like that,
Dire's middle tower
which is never easy to
attack.
do. And Custer's going to fly out onto the Necro, but I don't see them engaging onto him. I mean, the Tide is he's in a good position. Like if you were to blink here and get a ravage when they committed a little bit more, but like effectively there where they're in the middle. Potential. Oh, Slarg. Ooh, that was so close. They were setting up that gank. They had Necro TP to the tier 2. They had some other TPs coming in. I think maybe the TPs up here were just a little early. They needed Zine to get a little bit closer to try and get that taunt off. But that was a nice pounce from the Slark to make sure he didn't get caught in that taunt. Viper putting some pressure in the bottom lane as he just saw all the response to that Slark pushing in the top lane. So he realizes there's a little bit of an opening in the bottom lane, so he's going to try to poke away at the tier 1 tower. But Arcana on the Shadow Fiend made sure that that tower didn't take too much damage. Tied up to 1,100 gold. Looks like he's still farming to try and get the Blink, and I really think they need that mech, or that Blink. I'm not sure if the mech is that valuable to them. Oh, huge initiation from Galanti as he blinks in, gets the stun off on both of them. Then the finger bangs the Tidehunter, and the Venge goes down shortly after. And Zai is just going to TP away. All the way back to Fountain. While that's going on, Freezing says, you know what? You guys are all going down there. Well, I'm going to push in the top lane. And with that tower, he has enough gold to finish his BKB. Ooh, Viper is also able to finish his eggs. But now the Radiant looking like they're going to push down in the mid lane.
Top tower is under attack.
Oh my goodness, how did I not know this? So, right
Dire's
above the
structures
timer
are
for the
fortified.
respawn, there's like a little thing
Radiant's top
that
tower
shows you as
is
a
under
Reaper
attack.
Scythe. Holy crap, mind blown. Mind blown. I'm missing kills. Oh no. Okay. Learn something every day. We got a BKB pop by the Shadow Fiend. The Viper was tossed up in the air from the Yules. He'll land right into the Requiem of Souls, and he'll back away with about half HP. So Tidehunter's down. The Ravage went out already, but they're not able to capitalize on it. As now the Skywrath is looking to run away, and I think he will be able to TP here. And he'll be okay. So the Dire side, they only lose 2. But maybe a fight they shouldn't have taken. They shouldn't have put themselves in that position without Avenge. Still down for 20 whatever seconds because of the Reaper Scythe. And now their tier 3 is getting threatened here. I don't think there's any reason for them to force out buybacks. Tide's the only one with the buyback anyways. Fanboy swaps and maybe trying to force a little bit too much there as he then loses his life. Necro taking a little bit of a weird route out of the base. But, oh, that blink dagger just came up in time to blink away and disjoint that Viper strike. Now Tide's in the middle of everything. He's getting focused down. No, it's the Necro that's getting focused down. And he will go down as our first kill in the fight. Zine is in the middle as well. He's getting low. He goes down. Tide is now the focus. As he's going down as well. Yes, there he goes. Earthshaker. Requiem goes off as the Shadow Fiend dies. Earthshaker down to 20 HP. He'll get out. Viper Strike gets off onto Galanti, who now will be able to TP away. Nice fissure once again by Boater, who gets hit by a concussive. Not sure how they had vision. I guess from, I think it was the Viper here had vision as he went up. I don't know. Somehow that concussive had vision to hit that Earthshaker, and it was a complete disaster for the Radiant side as they lose 4. Not really sure why they decided to turn around. They had the disjoint right up here when the Necro disjointed the Viper Strike, and they could have just disengaged, but they chose to turn around. And maybe they thought there's no Ravage. They don't really have much of anything to fight. We can fight here, and unfortunately it just didn't work out for them. That gives the Dire side a free Roche, so Freezing will hold on to that. Lion pings out a gem. Who's holding on to the gem? Okay, it's going to be the Axe that holds on to the gem. I'll actually bring up the item window. We have an ultimate orb on the Shadow Fiend. What else do we got? That's relatively new. This Ogre Club's new on the Axe. We've also got another ultimate orb on the Necro. Nothing else new on the Radiant side. On the Dire side, we've got, looks like Venge that's building into an urn. It's pretty late to have to be going after an urn, but looking to build into an urn. We've got an Ogre Club picked up on the Viper as of recently. What else?
For me.
Saw the BKB, saw all this. The Aegis is, of course, new, but we pointed that out. We've got a Force Staff on the Skywrath. And actually, let's take a look at Tidehunter. Okay, he's up to 2,000 gold, so he's getting pretty close to that blink. And you know what? I think that's going to be huge for their ability to team fight. The problem is it might be too late. I think they've given the Radiant side... I just realized I wasn't on net worth this whole time. Tell how often I actually check net worth. But it might be too late. I think they've given this Radiant side just a little bit too much space. Take a look at the gold graph, and it's coming back in Mix's favor, but still a 6k gold lead. And frankly, a lot of that was just a result of that last engage up around up in this location. I don't know. Well, he's got it now, so we'll see what they're going to be able to do with it. Well, we got a second ultimate orb purchased by the Shadow Fiend, so it's pretty clear now that he's going for Scotty. And on top of that, has Necro picked up another item after his ultimate orb? No, he's going to be saving for, I'm guessing the Mystic Staff, because that should be a sheep. Oh no, Earthshaker getting caught out. We'll lay down the Echo. And Necro stayed around to try to help him. Instead, he'll get hit with a Ravage. He'll also get swapped and he'll go down. So 2 heroes go down for the Radiant side. And that is exactly what they didn't want. It is exactly what Mix wanted, as they finally make good of a Ravage. And that gives them... You know, they were already getting the kill on the Earthshaker, but the Ravage secured them the kill onto the Necro. And they're going to get a tier 1 tower in the mid lane on the back of this, and they're probably going to keep pushing to the tier 2. And I think that would be wise. They do have to... Ooh, maybe not. We just got a buyback from the Necro. Axe blinks and gets a taunt off onto the Slark. The Yules gets used onto the Skywrath, but somehow it doesn't get hit by that Requiem. Tide's going to get focused down. Now, the Shadow Fiend's beating away on this Viper, who will try to TP away, and he will not be able to. Slark now leaping away, pouncing away, as we've got all 5 heroes on the Dire side are going to be chasing him down. He will pounce up onto the high ground, and he should be able to get out of here alive. He's got 5,000 gold. Well, 4,900 gold. Jeez. And we know that's not all reliable. 2,800 of it is reliable, though. Oh my goodness. He's got to buy something. He buys 2 ultimate orbs. Wow. Absolutely huge. That's a lot of gold. Max just farming up the ancients here, and oof. That graph, it's coming a lot closer back to even, and whoa, yes, they did just get the Yules off onto the Venge, and that means that's going to be another kill for them. Oh, they're even going to use the Reaper Scythe onto that Venge, so she's going to be gone for 74 seconds. And on top of that, they're doing a little bit of dewarding with the gem, and I think it's the axe still holding on to it. Yes, it is. No, Earthshaker needs to be a little careful. He's a little bit further ahead than his team would really be able to support him, but he is going to be able to get an Observer Ward up right here. Yep.
Tower is under attack.
You can tell I played support that most recently where I knew he was going to put an Observer Ward there. He knows that they've been using sentries a lot up here to counter ward this. So he puts one up here, which is less likely to get counter warded, but still gives him a lot of knowledge of what's going on in this top lane. Got a TP coming in from the Viper. He'll immediately throw out the Viper Strike onto the Shadow Fiend, who will Yules himself to make sure that doesn't land. Nice fissure. Once again, disengaging the Shadow Fiend from the Viper. Axe, I think that was supposed to be a blink taunt, but unfortunately just taunts without any blink. There was a couple TPs back, but it looks like those were actually cancelled, as the Slurk was backing anyways. Galanti blinks up onto the high ground, making sure that there's no ward vision up here. And then they're immediately pinging out, saying, he's up here, we can't engage, we can't engage. His blink's still on cooldown. He should blink down now, he will. And now another 10 seconds before he's able to use that blink into a team fight. Zyne not waiting, he blinks in, he gets a taunt off, and there goes the Sky. A huge Ravage comes out. There was a couple of BKBs popped already though, so it doesn't land on everyone. We also have a buyback from the Sky as Tide goes down. As a result, Shadow Fiend gets swapped back into the enemy base. And now he's actually in behind, just throwing out right clicks and killing everyone rather than putting himself or being in a bad position. But he will go down. The Viper will go down as well. Just one hero left for the Dire side, and he'll go down. That was Zai on the Skywrath, the last to fall. He's already bought back. No one on this Dire side can buy back. I think the only one who may have gold. No, he's still. Yeah, he wouldn't even have enough gold, even if he wasn't hit by the Reaper Scythe ultimate. And I think we're going to see our first Tier 3 go down. It's taken a little while to go through this Tier 3 because, well, they lost their Shadow Fiend. They don't really have too much right click. But it will eventually fall, and now they're going to go for the melee racks. And they should be able to get this before anyone on the Dire side is really able to force them back. Although Tide and Venge are up. But like I said, I don't think they have the potential to really force them back. This is a dead melee racks. I think they should. They're back after it, yeah, they're going to back after it. And I think that's definitely a wise choice.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, after that we see the gold graph come way back up in favor of Troll Master Adventurers. Yes. Every time like I look up and I see TMA, I think TMI. And it throws me off every time. I think their name's kind of weird, but it doesn't matter what your name is as long as you're winning games, right? Necro still... This must be a sheep stick flying in on the curry. Yeah, okay. So he's got the Mystic and the Void Stone coming in. So we've got a sheep getting picked up by the Necro. What else do we got? Earthshaker up to 1,500 gold. So he's getting close to that blink, but still got a little bit to go. Shadow Fiend... I'd like to see him maybe get a little bit more damage. When he was swapped into the back there and he was able to be in behind and throwing some attacks off on the Viper, it didn't seem like he was chunking Viper quite as much as maybe he should be. Or maybe he'd like to be. They baiting the Slark here. Will the Radiant bite? Problem is that the axe is so far. They may still bite without the axe being there. The axe is making the rotation anyways. The team is right behind him. They don't even know that Earthshaker's there. And now Earthshaker, nice fissure, blocking off the three of them. This Slark is completely isolated. He is focusing down the Shadow Fiend, who will use himself. Then the Slark pounces away. Now Earthshaker's the one in trouble, as he's going to try to blink away, or try to TP away, but that's not the case. Ravage comes out, hits 3, and Shadow Fiend is taking a ton of damage. Somehow Lion's still alive here, throwing out a bunch of damage as well. Shadow Fiend goes down. Lion goes... No, he actually survives. Sorry, I thought he went down there. But now Necro is in the center of everything, and he's becoming a beefy, beefy man, as he's basically just tanking everything that's being thrown at him. And now Axe is going to get the kill onto the Viper there. Viper trying to deny to the easy camp, but at 35 minutes into the game, those easy camps don't really hit too hard, so not able to get the deny off there. Take a quick look at that fight recap, as there was a lot of stuff going on. We had a 3-for-4 trade. So 4 heroes died on Mix's side. We also had the Reaper Scythe getting used onto the Slark. Gold change was slightly in favor of the Radiant side, as they got 700 gold.
Are under attack.
What does that do for a gold graph? Pushes them just over 12k, and experience is well over 10k. So
Dire's top barracks.
That one's a lot less important now. Let's bring up the items and see if we've got any more progress since we last checked in. We've got a plate mail getting picked up by the Axe. He's building into an Assault Cuirass. We did, of course, have that sheep, which was new for that fight. Lion, I'm not sure when he picks up the Force Staff. Had we already noticed that? I don't remember it. But he does have a Force Staff.
Invisibility.
Viper picking up a Yasha and a Chainmail. Slark had finished his Scotty. Nothing else too noteworthy. Take a quick look at Earthshaker's items, still around 1500. We got to pause, so I'm going to take a quick break. Give me 1 second, guys. Trolling us. We thought we were going to resume there, but not the case. It's understandable though. The players, they do need a break from time to time, but hopefully it's not too long. Obviously something has come up. It's a pretty important moment in the match though. So you got the Radiant already starting on Roche. Dyers, most of them are actually sitting back in their base. They're going to have the Slark respawning in 1 second, so this could be a very, very big fight. Tide doesn't have Ravage up yet, but I think that's coming up soon. 30 seconds on that. Okay, now we're good to go, I think. I think we're good to go. Is they're going to be beating away at Roche, and what is the Dire doing? Do they know? They don't have any vision of it. They're farming in the bottom lane. They have no clue that this Roche attempt is going on. Oh, Necro has just spotted them out. He's invis, and now his invis has just expired. Roche is still not dead. 1,000 HP more. Shadow Fiend's going to be able to focus him down. He's already got an empty spot, so he's going to be able to pick up that Aegis immediately. Cheese on the ground. Earthshaker's going to run and pick that up. Zine is he on the high ground? I'm not sure. But either way, he's got a taunt off onto the Slark. The Necro's the first to go down. He'll buy back immediately, but he doesn't have boots of travel, so he won't be able to get back into the center of the fight, but he has TP to the bottom tier too, so he'll be back shortly as Zine is going to go down. This Tidehunter's just barely going to get away, as Boater's not going to be able to finish him off. Fanboy wants to pick up the gem. He does pick the gem up, but Shadow Fiend will immediately toss him up in the air with the Yules, and that means this gem's going to drop on the ground as Venge goes down. I think. Where the hell's the gem? Oh, I completely missed it with Shadow Fiend's items. Because he used the Aegis. So what was that trade? We had Shadow Fiend lose Aegis. We had Axe Dot. We had Necro die and buy back. And on the Dire side we had just Venge. Just Venge died on the Dire side. Wow. That was a huge fight for Mix. Interesting. Ooh, that was actually huge as well that Boater survived there, as he now has his Blink Dagger. And that's really going to help this Radiant side going forward. Shadow Fiend's going to be holding on to that cheese. Ping's going out here. I'm not sure why, but maybe they want to make a rotation up there. I don't know. So I think that was Axe pinging. Maybe I'm wrong. It's pinging. Well, I think he's really close to his AC, so they want to get that finished. Right? What's the total cost? 2,000, yeah. Couldn't remember if it was 2,000 or 2,100. I always get confused with that stuff. I don't play as much as I used to, so... 2,000 versus 2,100. 2,100, of course, was the old cost. But it's been it's a couple patches since they changed that. That's kind of embarrassing that I forgot that. The other one I always get confused with is Refresher Recipe. I always think it's 1875, but it's 1,800 now. Well, the AC is finished on Zine. They've got a lot of items. We've got two Ghost Scepters picked up, one on Necro, one on Lion since the last fight, I believe. And they've also got that Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker.
Coin for me.
It's going to be interesting. And Dire knows that this next fight is going to be huge. Look at them. They're all staying back. Got the Manta finished on the Viper. We got a Bash on the Slark. That's new since I last checked. Here we go. I think we're preparing for a fight. Is it going to be a fight for this tier 3 mid, or is it? Oh, they're going to back up. We'll center on Axe here. As he's going to be the one looking to initiate. Oh, Oh, they're going to wait until this creep wave moves up onto the high ground and then jump whoever goes to defend it. Dire knows what's up. Slark's got the ping saying that what's going on. Oh, it's actually the Earthshaker's going to lead with the Echo, but doesn't really deal that much damage to the Viper in the end. And here we go, huge Requiem of Souls as Shadow Fiend. Oh no, he doesn't get it off. He gets stunned by the bash from the Slark. And this is actually not going at all well for the Radiant side. As we get, the Viper's the first one to fall for the Dire, but well, we got the Sky going down as well. There's already been 3 down for the Radiant. We got a buyback from the Sky. And Shadow Fiend, he had to use the cheese. Oh, now he's going to get swapped. He may actually even die. Yeah, he is going to die. So the only one getting out alive is Galanti on the Lion. And oh my goodness, that was a complete disaster for the Radiant side. It was a very smart play for them to smoke up, know that their creep wave was going to push up onto the high ground, and post up here, waiting to pick off someone. It was a better play for the Slark to ping in this location and acknowledge it. I guarantee you with that ping, he was telling them what was going on, because the Viper pushed up here and they were all sitting back here in behind. They knew exactly what was going on. Really good recognition of what was potentially going to happen. That was a huge play from the Slark. That was huge. That pretty much won them that fight.
Radiant's middle
Huge.
tower
And
is
that
under
bash
attack.
on the Requiem. That was huge too. A little RNG based, but that was pretty big. Either way, Slark pulling out all the stops in that last fight.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
That was really good. I like seeing stuff like that. Because there's a lot of stuff like that, a lot of calls like that happen that you just don't know about because it happens through voice comms and you have no idea. As a spectator watching, you don't know whether that was called or not. But when that was attached with a ping, you know for sure, based on how they reacted and where the ping was, that that is exactly what he called out. It's really, really good stuff. We're going to have another gem because they just lost their gem on the Shadow Fiend at the end there. So we've got another gem purchased by the Lion. And they're grouped up as 5. Where are they going? Well, apparently just to farm the jungle. And we've got an Eagle Song. I always want to call it Horn, but let's go to 1. Eagle Song picked up by the Shadow Fiend. And the Dire side not holding on to the gem. They've placed it in their well. Fountain. Lincolns for Slark. Alright. It's a really defensive item-based Slark. But it's been working for them thus far. Take a look at the gold graph. You know, they've been behind quite a bit this game. And, you know, they brought it back to, this was like 3,700, 3,600, maybe even closer to 3,000. Not quite 3,000, it's above there, but somewhere around there. They brought it back to there, and then they lost it completely again. And then they had another big fight. Still about 6,000 behind. But 6,000 gold at 45 minutes is such a little amount to be behind by. And it really just comes down to teamfight execution. And speaking of team fights, we're going to have one right here as Freezing actually jumps in. He gets spotted by the gem. They have purchased another gem. And the Ravage comes out. It hits everyone on the Radiant side. And I was talking about execution. Here we go. As Zine is now going to get focused down despite being in BKB. Gem is on the ground. Shadow Fiend is going to get tossed up in the air. Zai is going to go down on the Skywrath Mage. The pounce lands onto the Shadow Fiend, who will try to get some raises off. And he's starting to right-click the Viper, but Viper will even BKB to make sure that he doesn't go down, as he's low HP. Spotter is going to run in, trying to get an Echo. No, he already used an Echo, just trying to get an Enchant Totem off, I guess. And he'll go down. So 4 heroes die on the Radiant side. Once again, it's just the Lion that gets out alive. We only lost 3 on the Dire. And another huge team fight win for this Dire side. Mix.
Under attack.
They may have been quite a bit behind at 2 different points in this game, but they're ahead right now when it matters. And you know what? The gold graph may not agree with that comment that I just made, and imagine it's still coming down. It's got to still be coming down as a result of that. But they're definitely ahead at this point in the game. With how the last couple fights have been going, they're ahead.
is under
It
attack.
doesn't matter what the gold graph does. It says it doesn't matter
Radiant's
that you've got a
bottom
13,
tower
5,
has
and
fallen.
17 necro. It doesn't matter you've got a 12, 5, and 12 axe. It doesn't matter because right now they're winning the team fights when it really, really matters at the end of the game because you can be ahead 40, 50, 60, 70 kills. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is this throne, whether it goes down or
I know
not.
I can trust you guys.
And at this moment, if you're winning team fights, you're a lot more likely to be able to get to that throne. And team fights this late in the game can just end the game, pretty much. If you win a one team fight, very, very one-sided, then you're going to get a set of racks, maybe 2 sets of racks, maybe just end the game. One important fact is that although Trollmaster's adventurers have been losing team fights, they've always been on the aggression. Think of where all the last couple team fights, major team fights have happened. There was one here. There was one here. And now there was one here. And I think even before there may have been one in the mid. Yeah, there was one in the mid before all that. So what do all those, I'm going to X them on the map real quick. All those have in common is they're all on the dire side of the map. They're putting the aggression on and they're fighting on the dire side of the map. What happens when you lose a fight on the dire side of the map when you're Radiant? It's very difficult for the dire side to go and push your base. However, if Dire loses that fight, then it's very easy for the Radiant to push and deal some real strong structure damage. Galeante gets swapped and he's going to go down to start off this fight. Now we have nice fissure placed again by this Earthshaker. He's just been on point with those. As now we're going to have Zion go down, but I think Zaya is going to go down as well. Ravage goes out, just hits the Shadow Fiend. Zion still hasn't died on this axe. There he goes. As now the Shadow Fiend's going to try to right-click down the Venge, who's running for his life, but it's not going to be able to get away. Reaper Scythe will finish off that Viper, and the Earthshaker is getting really low as well, but the Slark is going to have to run away before being able to finish him off. Slark regenerating a little bit of HP, maybe looking to re-engage here. But no, he'll think better of it and he will just run away. It's just him and the Tidehunter left alive on the Dire side, and Tide's already gone back to defend the top lane. So the 3 heroes left remaining on the Radiant side will go and chip away at this Roche, and that should be another Aegis for the Shadow Fiend. He's going to, imagine, drop the gem. And well, the Shaker's going to have to get rid of something to pick up that cheese. I guess I'll just get rid of a TP scroll. Oh wow, okay, yeah, Necro drops the mech. That's good too. Mech has very, very little value at this point in the game. It would be much more beneficial to the team to have Necro with that cheese to stay alive quite a bit longer. So he'll drop the mech on the ground for the Necro, who will then sell it from the courier. And I'm actually going to switch right on over to the buyback status and just see who's got buybacks, how close everyone is. And there's not many heroes with buybacks at all. We've got 2 heroes on the Dire side. It's the Tide and the Viper with buyback. On the Dire side, or on the Radiant side, it's just the Earthshaker, which is quite surprising for a game 50 minutes in. Well, we got a 4-man smoke here from the Radiant side, and the one who isn't smoked is Invis. So maybe even the better version of smoke. As they're going to run down the mid lane, and Dire knows exactly what's up. They know what the potential move is. They've got no Vipers, so they're going to wait until he's back up before they push out anywhere on the map. And maybe this smoke was a little bit early. As they're going to move up here, and they're going to try this play again on this top lane. Their smoke is going to expire. They need to back up. Necro is going to reveal to the creeps, and yeah, smoke didn't work out for them. Shadow Fiend is up on the high ground though with the Invis. He needs to be very careful that there's no detection. Well, there was a gem on Venge. I was looking through all the heroes, and the last one I went to was the Venge. Shadow Fiend will use himself to make sure he doesn't get hit by that Viper Strike. Rakana's been on top of those Yules, making sure he doesn't get hit with the Vipers. Constantly disjointing. We've got A little bit of a stalemate here. Both teams, I think, recognizing how tense the situation is. God, just go back and think about this Tide. He had to build that mech, and I don't think the mech did much for them. So that delayed the Blink Dagger, and now he's got a Perseverance and 2,500 gold. He'd be so close to Refresher by now. It's certainly something to consider. Now both teams just recognizing how tense this moment is. It's really hard for the Radiant to do much of anything to try and push up onto this tier 3. Because they have to stay so spread for that Tidehunter, and he's got his Refresher now. Okay. Apparently he had something
Dire's
on
middle tower is under
the
attack.
courier, and I didn't notice it.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Oh, he missed. He missed that time with the Yule, so he does get hit with the Viper Strike. So losing a little bit of HP. But it will expire, so it's not that big in the end. This is such a tense moment. What is the Dire doing? Okay, they're just going to push back that creep wave. But you need to be very careful. Look at all those creeps there for the Dire side. If you get hit by an Echo Slam, you're done.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
The chip damage eventually took out that tier 3 in the mid. Radiant need to be a little bit careful. They're getting maybe a little bit too spread out there. They had their Axe down here and their Shadow Fiend was up here. That's a pretty big distance. Another Viper Strike goes out on the Shadow Fiend. We got initiation in the bottom. Looks like the sky is going to go down. He's going to get Reaper Scythe. So he's not going to be able to buy back. He's gone for 100 seconds. And then we have a Sheep going out onto the Viper. There comes the Echo Slam onto the Slark, who's already BKB'd. The Ravage comes out, hits a couple heroes, but most are BKB'd. The Lion now trying to run away from the Slark. I think he's going to be dead. Let's take a look at the Shadow Fiend, see what's going on up here. Requiem of Souls comes out, starts right-clicking down the Venge, but Venge is able to force staff herself away. Now he's right-clicking the Viper, but Viper's able to run away. This Shadow Fiend not able to focus down targets. He just can't keep on them. The Viper keeping him slowed. As soon as he respawns from that Aegis, he throws out a couple hands, but still, once again, Fanboy able to get far enough away on that Venge. And we have 5 heroes go down on the Radiant side. Botter just respawned right now. They can't end the game. One good thing that they had going for them, they just took out that set of racks in the mid lane. But they're going to have to do it all over again to get this set of racks down here, or they may just push for the Dire's Ancient, which might actually be a decent move, because if they trying to engage up here is very, very difficult. Ravage has a huge impact on all the heroes around here. You have to like spread out here. It's awkward to avoid a Ravage, especially in that lane. One thing they do have access to is an easy way into the top lane. And that gives you, look at all the space that you have to fight. To avoid Ravage. There's a lot larger area. So look for them to potentially push up into that top lane. They could even enter through the mid lane, but I think top is going to give them a little bit more space in the end, and it's a little bit easier for them to enter into the base. But we're not going to get that yet, as Dire's now on the offensive, and they're pushing down in the mid lane. Mix trying to deal some structure damage. We haven't seen them on this side of the map for quite some time, and now they throw a Viper Strike onto the Lion, and that does quite a bit more onto a Lion than it does onto a Shadow Fiend. Zion blinks in, gets the taunt off. They still don't have their Shadow Fiend for another 10 seconds. He does have access to buyback, but he's not going to use it. So the Tidehunter goes down, but they lose the Earthshaker. Swap onto the Necro. The Necro goes down. I don't know if they should have engaged there. They could have just thrown and lost the game right here. Dire's Mix is not sure. They're not sure about this. They're considering backing up. Buyback comes out from the Tide. Shadow Fiend has respawned. Zion blinks forward. Unfortunately, doesn't land his taunt. Freezing will get the pounce onto Galanti. Jeez, I'm screwing up that name. As he'll go down, but of course he'll buy back immediately into the game. So we've got the one set of racks down in the mid lane. What is Dire going to do? Will Mix just back on out of the base? Or will they keep pushing? Are they going for the end? They are. They're chipping away at the tier 4 towers. They've got this Ravage available. They throw it out right now. They still have 20 seconds before they're able to use a second one. But Shadow Fiend's going to go down. He just buy back immediately. Zion is going to go down as well. They're not going to have enough heroes to defend here. Zion buys back as well. Earthshaker's going to be respawning in 5 seconds. So they're going to have 4 up. But they've lost their 2 tier 4 towers. But no structure damage has been dealt to the Ancient. Galanti blinks forward, gets a stun off, but only on 1. It hits the Slark. The Tidehunter goes down. He was able to use a refresher, but not able to get the Ravage off. Shadow Fiend uses himself, but he's now the focus target, and he's going to go down. I think this is the end. I think Mix is going to walk away with this, as Galanti is going to go down. Zion does manage to chop off a head of Vengeful Spirit, but they're just right-clicking down the core. The Ancient is going to fall.
Radiant's Ancient is under
And Good Games Well Paid comes out from Trollmasters Adventures. What a game! What a game! That last fight was a little hectic, but Mix manages to walk away with that one. Oh my. 57 minutes. Whew. I gotta take a quick breather after that last fight. That was quite a game. I enjoyed that. It looked like Trollmasters Adventures. They were in the driver's seat for a long time in that game. They had 2 different times in the game where they were up ahead. I believe it was 12k, maybe even more than that. And somehow Mix managed to crawl back. They did a really good job defending, and they kept winning teamfight after teamfight after teamfight on their side of the map. I drew them out. I think it was 4 times. They defended when they were behind a lot. They defended on their side of the map and were able to win those fights. And then after that, they won 1 more, that 5th one. And then they were able to push out, and then they won the even more crucial one in the Radiant base. And Mix walks away with the victory. They advance to the finals, where we've already had a team waiting for, unfortunately, the last 2 games to finish. So they're definitely going to be rested up. Hopefully they haven't fallen asleep in their chairs. But that's our next game. We've got 1 more left to determine who will win SCS tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoy that game half as much, if not more, than I did, because it was incredible. And hopefully you'll stick around for the finals. If you don't, hit that follow button on twitch.tv/NizCast. Also follow me on Twitter and YouTube. I'm going to be putting the VODs up on YouTube, so if you want to go back and watch some of this game, you can do so. But we've got a lobby to get into, so in the meantime, you're going to listen to a little bit of music, and we're going to have another game real soon.